Damn it. I'm going to get it one of these times. So, guys, welcome to my Pyke guide. Super excited about this one. Pyke has just single-handedly renewed my just passion for the game. I'm playing a crap load of him, playing him every role possible, and just having a blast just with his kit. As I do play a lot of support, he is just awesome right now, just giving you a whole type of play style that is so different to what you're used to in the support role. So yeah, I wanted to make a guide as quick as possible, but for that to happen, I had to play a lot of Pyke. I know a couple of my subscribers asked me when I was bringing out this guide, and I was like, I haven't really played him too much. It's been getting banned, or my mid laner's taking him, or the top laner's taking him, or the jungler's taking him. It's been kind of hard. So what I actually ended up doing is I spanned about 30 or 40 Pyke games in Twisted Tree Line. I know Twisted Tree Line doesn't really count, but I feel like it helped me learn a lot about his kit, and it really reflected in my gameplay when I was able to take it into ranked on my main account and just kind of have a lot of fun doing it, because it's not that fun if you're not doing well, but when you're snowballing and just killing carries as a support, it's like a liberating feeling, man. It's crazy. So a little bit of background experience by myself. I peaked in Diamond 4, now I'm fucking stuck backing down in Diamond 5 right now, but I'm starting to play the game a shitload more now that Pyke is released, and really looking to climb a bit more once I'm ready to bring him onto the main account, not just kind of my troll kind of off account. All right. Now, if you guys have any feedback or critique for this video, please let me know down below. Super receptive to I'm just always trying to make my videos better for you guys and help you out with just kind of the educational stuff, and just get you into the game and not feel like you're like, what the hell am I doing right now? And I know we've all had that feeling at one point or another. We just feel kind of outclassed by our opponents. So that's kind of my main reason for doing these videos. All right. And my guide is actually it's segmented into a couple different sections. First up, just kind of his base kits and my thoughts on it. Then it's on to runes, and then items. What kid is running around? And then some good and some bad matchups. So I'm going to put timestamps down below. And yeah, just feel free to skip around to where you want to go. And yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into the guide. Alright, and let's jump right into Pyke's abilities. First up, passive, Gift of the Drowned Ones. When Pyke is hidden from enemies, he regenerates damage that he has recently taken from champions. Pyke also gains extra maximum health from any source, and instead gains bonus AD. Couple things to note on this: Revitalize, the rune. It will increase the healing on this, as well as the Spirit Visage will also increase the healing on this, just giving you a huge amount of sustain in lane, or if you're using your W to run away in team fights and get a bit of your health back. Next up, Q, Bone Skewer. Pyke either stabs in front of him or pulls an enemy towards him. Now this is a very good ability because it has just a lot of utility to it. Or you can be just doing a lot of damage with the frontal stab, which is a quick Q, and that will do an increased amount of damage as opposed to the long blitzcrank or thresh-like hook that is charged up. Now, next up, W, Ghost Water Dive. Pyke enters camouflage and gains significant movement speed. This is really good to get away in team fights if you just need to regenerate some health, or it's also good for closing gaps when you're chasing down carries or trying to get in range for that ultimate and get those resets going on Pyke. So again, it's a really versatile ability as well as with the Q. Now, next up, E, Phantom Undertow. Pyke dashes and leaves behind a phantom that will return to him, stunning enemies along its path. This can be a very strong ability, just because the amount of people you can actually stun with this is surprising. If you have increased movement speed, you're obviously going to get more out of this as you get a little bit of time to run after the dash, where you still have that trail following you that's going to leave a stun. Also, you can have things like flash that make the stun a bit longer and can really set up some amazing combos in teamfight. Alright, next up, the most fun ability in my opinion with Pyke is definitely his ultimate, Death from Below. Pyke blinks to and executes low health enemies, allowing him to cast this spell again and granting additional gold to an ally who assists. So any support that loves kill stealing the ADCs and carrying, whether it be with mage supports or whatever you're doing in those support lanes, this can really help out because you're getting a lot more gold for your team. If you think about it, it's probably a 200 gold difference, right, as opposed to getting an assist and a kill. So this is really helping you snowball a lot. This leaves Pyke in a very feast or famine type of playstyle, as he is an assassin and relatively squishy, not being able to get bonus health, and really able to snowball hard, but also can really get destroyed in certain matchups. Alright, and that will wrap up Pykes Kit. Alright, and jumping right into Pykes Runes, there are two different paths you can go down. First up, there's the extremely offensive build that is good against Enchanter supports with Electrocute, and also there is the more defensive setup with Aftershock that gives you a little bit of damage but an insane amount of tanky stats, and it pairs really well with your good base HP. Pros are mostly going the Aftershock build at the moment. Some really good rune setups for Pyke with that first setup going Electrocute first. The sudden impact is very good. It procs on your E and your R, and it will give you a lot of more damage in your combos, and can really be the difference between getting those early game kills or not. Next up, if you want a little bit more ward control, you can just go into Zombie Ward, or if you want a bit more damage, go a little bit more aggressive, you can go with the Eyeball Collection. And in that last tier, the two that are pretty good that you can choose from is either the Out of Combat movement speed, which is pretty good when you're just trying to chase people down and getting in W. And then also Ravenous Hunter is pretty good on Pyke, just because he goes really well with healing, and he does a lot of damage, so you're going to get a lot of healing back from that ability. Next up, if you go the Aftershock route, Bone Plating is very good. Chrysalis will give you a bit more damage in the early game and even after it procs, so it's kind of a win-win there. And then also, I think Revitalize, I don't know if that's what everyone's running right now, but in my thoughts, Revitalize is great for sustaining through pokey lanes, because this will amplify the amount of healing you're getting back in from your passive. And last up, if you are going down that resolve tree and you are looking for something a little bit different in lane, you need a little bit more CDR, as he has very high ability cooldowns in the early game. That 5% cooldown can come in handy, and then also Mana Biscuits can help out a lot with getting poked out, as you are still a melee champion looking into engaging on people, and you never want to be low when you're engaging. Now, these are pretty subject to change right now, but I think right now these are the two meta. If you guys have found anything that you really like, please let me know in the comments down below. Yeah, I've seen Predator ran a couple times to just kind of really guarantee those E stuns, and out of the jungle it can help you with a little bit of gank pressure, and that will that will end Pykes Runes. Okay, and jumping right into the best items for Pyke right now. There's a couple different routes you can go. He's very versatile with what he builds, as he does get damage from health items. So keep that in mind. This is probably pretty liable to change as people play him a lot more. But these are just my thoughts on it, and if you have anything that you are finding a lot of success on, please let me know in the comments down below. First up, if you are snowballing and doing really well, Lethality can help you so much, as both the items give the out of combat movement speed, and the Youmuu's gives you the movement speed as well, and gives you a huge amount of burst, getting them in the lower HP thresholds where you can execute them. Next up, with his decent base HP pool, he can get a lot of damage off in team fights if he has a little bit more tankiness, and that's what the Maw of Malmortius and the Steraks gauge can really provide, with shields that can just be so effective in team fights, especially prevalent against burst damage team comps. Things like LeBlanc and Kha'Zix can really be changed from this. Next up, damage / utility. Obviously, Black Cleaver is a great pickup on Pyke right now, giving him CDR to help out with his long cooldowns, and giving him a bit of damage from both the health and attack damage, and giving him a bit more movement speed as well with that rage passive. And a little less known, but I've seen it crop up a couple more times on a couple pro builds, is the Frozen Mallet, as it gives you a huge amount of attack damage, because the health, it has 700 health, so that is a huge amount of health that you are getting to proc your passive, and gives you a slow to help you chase down people and give you a little bit more utility out of the support lane. Next up, 3 items that I think can work pretty well on Pyke that are just decent in the meta right now. Banner is pretty strong right now, giving you great pushing power, giving you good tankiness, and also Zeke's can be very effective as you are usually in melee combat, proccing that Frost Storm and giving a little bit more damage to your AD carry. And it can be really good in this meta where the ADCs are just doing a lot of damage even after the crit nerfs. Next up, the Knight's Vow can be pretty good because you're getting a bit of damage, a bit of armor against it, and it is just a good item to be taking in support right now. Next up, two of my favorite items to pick on Pyke right now are the tank and / movement speed items that can really help you close the distance, get that perfect E that you want, and give you a little bit more damage as they both have health pools that they're adding. And last up, the different boot choices you can take on Pyke obviously comes down to the opponent's team comp. Mobility boots is great for getting picks and for when you're snowballing and when you're trying to chase down squishies with mobility. And then next up, if they have a lot of AD auto attackers, obviously take Tabby. And if you find yourself just getting CC'd, you're getting Morgana binded, or you're just taking a lot of CC in team fights, Merc Treads are a great pick for Pyke as he is an assassin after all. All right, and that will wrap up the items for Pyke. All right, let's get into some of the easier matchups for Pyke in lane. First up, one of his little bit of a higher win rate matchups is Vel'Koz. You are able to dash his very telegraph CC, and you're able to do a lot of damage to him as he is a very squishy champion, and he is really not that mobile. So Pyke is just a outstanding pick right now into Vel'Koz. Next up, one that might be a little bit controversial with you guys, but I really like taking Pyke into Soraka because you have a lot of snowball potential running into her. If you're able to get a hook on her and CC her in like the early 1 through 3 levels, and you have Ignite and you're running Electrocute, she's pretty much dead, even if she flashes. Unless she has Barrier, Flash, and Heal from her ADC, she is not getting out of that situation, and you can really just put her in the dirt and get her really behind and make it so it's just a very difficult game for her, because I think that in the early game you have so much ability to just really put her in her place as she isn't really that mobile. However, if she is able to get out of laning phase scot-free, not really taking too many deaths, and her ADC does well, it can be a little bit tougher in the late game where she just throws those huge heals at the target you're trying to assassinate. So I totally get it if you guys don't like running Pyke into Soraka, but if you play Pyke extremely aggressive, you can really get those kills on Soraka. Next up, one of the easier matchups that I personally like taking Pyke into is Blitzcrank. He has a very telegraph CC, again, which is a ongoing theme where you're able to just dash away from his hook, and you're really able to just put out more damage in those early levels, especially if you have Ignite and Electrocute, and you're really able to I feel like you're able to do Blitzcrank's job better than he is at this current moment. You don't have the exact tankiness that a Blitzcrank does, but you're just able to bring a little bit more utility to those team fights, and you're just a little bit more... You're very flexible in the way you can approach the map. You can roam very well. You can just do a lot of things. You can augment your builds. If you're doing well, you can just build snowball items and destroy a game, where Blitzcrank, I mean, I guess he could build AP, but he can't really carry a game as hard as Pyke if you're winning a game. All right, and that will wrap up the easy matchups for Pyke. If you found a matchup you love taking Pyke into, please comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. All right, and getting into a couple of matchups that can be pretty rough for Pyke, as he has a very polarizing playstyle. That will mean that he has a bunch of counters. First up, probably one of the hardest supports to go up against is Steraks. He's able to CC, which is really detrimental to your assassin playstyle, and he gives a lot of defensiveness, giving people a higher effective health pool, and it really negates a lot of your ults, and then obviously his ult stops all damage, and you can't execute anyone in team fights, and it's AoE, so this is a particularly rough matchup. You still can snowball him. I've won a couple games against a Steraks support, but it is a little bit of a rougher matchup. Now, this one I have to point out because I just absolutely fucking despise playing against Morgana as Pyke. First up, she stops your hook with her black shield and your stun with her black shield. Then she has ult that will always have true vision on you, so you will never be able to run away using your W if she is on top of you and flashing in, and then it just keeps coming. And Morganas usually take ignite, so it's also going to be revealing you and reducing your healing, and you're just going to be taking a lot of damage from that Morgana matchup. It is very frustrating because you are very telegraphed on when you're engaging unless you're getting hooks out of the bushes, but if you're in any kind of high elo, they're just going to be able to black shield your stun, and you have just very minimal kill pressure on them in lane if the ADC is not playing like an absolute ape. And finally, a tougher matchup is the poke matchup of Zyra that does a lot of damage at all points in the game, has good CC. She is very squishy, so you can snowball her on her pretty hard, but also she does take ignite, so you can't really run away as easily with your W, and she is just a strong pickup into Pyke because you're pretty telegraphed in the ways you engage fights. She can just wait for you to E and throw her root and all of her damage in that direction and really stifle what you're trying to do in team fights because you can be burst out. You're pretty susceptible to burst with Pykes Kit. All right, and that will wrap up the pretty hard matchups for Pyke. All right, and that will wrap up my guide for Pyke. If you guys have any feedback or critique, as always, please let me know in the comment section down below. If I do something that really annoys you guys, or if you want to see something in a future video, maybe a certain type of aspect of gameplay, please let me know. And if you want, I'm starting to think I should probably do some combo videos and maybe some base stuff like lane control and kind of like last hitting and stuff like that. So let me know if you guys are interested in that at all. And also, if you guys want me to review a NAOPGG and maybe give you some tips, let me know. I'm always down to kind of give you a big big wall of text and explaining a couple things that you might be lacking in your gameplay. And as always, guys, take it easy.